Hello everyone, it's Jazzy. Today I want to show you how Winona can set up a fully connected teletransporter network across her map. As of her skill tree, Winona is now one of the more powerful mobility characters. And once her teletransporters are properly set up, she can move very quickly around the map, and at a super low cost. So for anyone looking to play on an extended run, setting up fast travel is going to be hands down the biggest benefit to playing as Winona. When Winona activates her portasol, she teleports to the nearest powered teletransport pad. If she's standing on a pad, then she'll teleport to the next closest pad. Now at the basic level, two of these pads placed anywhere in the world provide a simple two-way teleportation between any 2 points. But there's actually a method to chain teleporters together in a network and be able to access any pad from within the network. Before I show you how to set this up, let's talk about how this works. The idea is that if you have multiple pads that are equal distance to the one you're standing on, you can choose which of these to travel to by standing on one side of the pad or the other. This makes you slightly closer to one of the pads, so that's the one you'll travel to. What this means is that as long as you make pads equidistant from each other, you can always choose which direction to teleport, and you can travel along a network of chained pads all the way to your destination. So the big trick here is to get all pads in a chain equally spaced out. Over large distances, this can get tricky. The easiest way is to create pads in a straight line, placing each pad in the center of a tile and using a pitchfork to count tiles. You can use geometric placement to find the center of tiles and place your pads on them. And as long as you follow the tile lines, you can easily chain pads to each other. The problem is when you start to place diagonally, it can become tricky to calculate exact distances. But if we are okay with using mods, there's actually a much better way to do this. And now we arrive at my true reason for making this video, and that is to show off this mod. Teletransport Planner by Electroley. This is probably one of the most important mods for Winona's kit, so I'm going to show you how to use the mod to plan out and connect your entire network without the hours of trial and error. First thing you want to do is place down pads where you know for sure you want them to be. So any pad you have in a build at your base and any set pieces where placement is going to be important. I'll typically have one placed precisely at my base, the multiplayer portal, the Moon Key Island, and Pearls Island. All the other locations, I can be flexible with placement, and the more flexible you can be, the easier of a time you'll have finding places to connect the pads. A couple tips for placing these. Make sure that every pad has a lightning rod nearby to prevent lightning from breaking your network. If you play with other people, then you may want to consider placing lazy deserters at points of interest so that you can bring other players over after you teleport. To power these teletransporters, you can use either generators or generators. My personal choice is usually generators because I have the skill that lets you use nightmare fuel, and I'm usually carrying around some of that for my bone armor anyway. But you can also use a single shard in a generator and never have to think about fueling it again. I do that for places that I travel to often, like my base. Now once you have these portals placed and powered up, open up your map and hit left shift. You should see little red circles where you've placed your teletransporters down. Now you can start to plan out where the rest of your pads are going to go. To put down a blueprint for a new pad, you hold left shift and left click the mouse. To remove these, you right click. The arrows between each pad show the direction that teleportation will take you, and the goal is to have double pointing red arrows between each teleporter so that they're bidirectional. Now one important thing to remember is that if you want all these pads to be connected, then the shortest distance between any two pads is the furthest apart that your pads can be. Because if they are any farther away than that, then the pads closer together will connect only to each other. Because of this, you're going to want to start by connecting your two pads that are closest to each other, since that distance will determine the distance to other pads in the chain. On this world, you can see the Oasis and Moon Key are actually quite close together, so we'll start by linking other portals to these two. When searching around for good spots where you get all double arrows, be mindful of the connections to the last pad, and make sure that any new pad you place won't break those connections. Right here I settled on a spot in the deciduous forest because it maintains equal distances for the Oasis pad. That white line you see when placing new pads on the map is going to be your guardian angel because it shows you where a new teleporter would maintain an equal distance from the previous one. Sometimes the best location for a link between islands might be in the middle of an ocean. You can totally set up ocean teleporters, it just takes a few extra resources. In general, the more flexible you can be with placement, the easier of a time you'll have getting all your teleporters connected. Right here, I'm going to change my lunar island spot so that I can have a direct connection from a land biome. Also, don't be surprised if you don't end up with teleporters in every single biome. If you place more on the mainland, then you're going to have teleporters much closer together, which means all of your island points of interest are going to need more teleporters in the chain, including ocean pads. The resource cost quickly adds up, and I honestly prefer to save the resources and have fewer teleporters more spaced out. I can walk a few screens to get to Dragonfly, it's fine. Once you have your network all planned out, you can start placing the teleporters. When you travel to each location, you'll see a little white circle on the ground that indicates where a teleporter has been planned. You can place the pad right on top of the circle, and if you're using geometric placement, there's two settings that will help you here. First, turn off the grid visibility, and second, turn off the item placer. Now you can see the ground while you place the pad down, and it really helps to grab the center of that circle. For placing down teleporters in the ocean, you can make a boat and sail right on top of the circle. Always have an anchor to secure your boat, and I'd recommend not moving the boat after placing the teleporter down, because the mod will not adjust the location of the pad on the map. Once you have all of your teleporters placed and powered, go ahead and hold your portasol. The mod will show arrows on the ground to indicate which direction the character will travel. If you're on a pad with multiple connections, it will show all possible directions and highlight which way your character will go from your current position. It'll also highlight any items on the ground that will teleport with you. Using this mod has gotten me so excited to mega base as Winona. When every corner of the world is just a few portasol clicks away, it opens up so much potential in the late game. And that's not even to mention the incredible power of her catapults, which I hope to cover in a future video. Anyway, that wraps up this guide. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.